Welcome to another mailbag episode of the Factual Feminist. I'm going to continue to respond to your perspicacious comments and questions. Commenter Nonya Rotman asks, can you point to any industry that systematically discriminates against women? Is there any proof of this discrimination? What I see in America are companies bending over backwards to accommodate women. There is no evidence that I can see of systematic discrimination against women. As I explained in my first video, the famous 23-cent gender pay gap is simply the difference between the average earnings of all men and women working full-time. And it doesn't take into account differences in occupation, positions, education, job tenure, hours worked per week. And when competent economists look at all these variables and consider them, the wage gap narrows to the point of vanishing. Now, am I saying there's no discrimination? There may be some, and there are some studies that are worth paying attention to. For example, there was a gender bias study recently carried out by some Yale researchers. They sent faculty at several leading universities a fictitious resume from a graduate student asking for a job, and they asked them to evaluate it. Now, the very same resume was rated more highly when a man's name was attached. What's more, the science faculty, and this included male and female faculty, they were more likely to want to mentor the person if his name was John rather than named Jennifer. And they offered a slightly higher salary to John. Now, is this proof of discrimination in the workplace? Maybe, but it's complicated because what people do in imaginary cases doesn't necessarily reflect what they do in real life. In 2009, the National Academy of Sciences did a study entitled Gender Differences at Critical Transitions in the Careers of Science, Engineering, and Mathematics Faculty. And it looked at what people actually do in academic science, not what they say they would do, what they really do. Well, what did they find? When it comes to getting hired, promoted, and tenured in math, science, and engineering, women fare as well or better than men. Issues like gender equity in the workplace are complicated. They don't lend themselves to slogans, quick fixes, or sensational headlines. I agree with the questioner, Nonya Rotman, that there's no evidence of systematic discrimination. At the same time, I think there are probably workplaces where there is sexism, other workplaces where women enjoy favoritism.